Hello my friends, I'm Duchess and welcome to my YouTube channel. This week I'm going to tell you guys how I balance my Webtoon script writing and my drawing. Let's get started. Alright, this video was requested by Solar Faith. Thank you so much for commenting and requesting this video. I had actually been planning on making a video about this specific topic, but I never got to it and then I forgot about it, so thank you so much for reminding me. When I first started writing my webtoon or started thinking about making my webtoon, it was very overwhelming. There were so many questions that I was asking myself, asking others, like how do I start? What do I start with? Do I write the whole script first, or do I just write as I go? Do I draw it first? And for me, it's a combination of everything. I've always been an amateur writer and I write a lot, like throughout middle school, high school, even now, I'm a college student, but yeah, I've always written my ideas down, so like whenever I have ideas, I just write them down in my notes on my iPad, or I just write them down in my notebook that I'm taking notes in for the class, or whatever it is. So eventually, I just had so many ideas and story plots written down. So later, when I looked back at it, I was like, wow, I have so many ideas. I could write a webtoon. And so since being a webtoon artist is something that I have thought about before and somewhat of a dream for me, I thought I might as well just do it. Since I already had like my webtoon story written down, I just grabbed like a bunch of information and wrote it all down in a Google document, and let me tell you, it is super messy. It was so messy. It's like if you're writing 5 research papers for your classes and you write them all in one document, because there's like research information everywhere, you have notes everywhere for different ideas that you have that you want in your webtoon, and it was crazy. It took me about 2 years to like finally organize everything where it would make sense. And yeah, I'm not really sure how I was able to get myself to actually organize it all, because that was a huge disaster. It was awful, and not just in terms of organization, but also the way that I wrote it. I was barely in high school during that time when I was drafting everything, so everything was very childish that I wrote, not things that I would necessarily be proud of today. But yeah, so it was not very good, but at least I had all my ideas written down. So for my webtoon, The Unexpected Enchantress, I knew kind of what I wanted for the story, right? So I kind of worked backwards. It was a little bit weird. But so I knew the story that I wanted. I didn't have a main character. So what I did was I thought about what main character would best fit this role. So I created someone to fit it, which was CL. And after I knew that, I thought, well, what do I want for the ending? You know, what do I want to happen? So I came up with the ending that I wanted. And then for the whole middle part, I just put in all of the elements and plots that I thought would be interesting to draw and write about in between. So that's what I put in the middle. So something I would recommend if you don't really know how to go about writing your story is to have a beginning, know your main character, kind of who they are, and then what the issue will be, and then write the ending of like what you want the outcome to be at the end of everything. And then in the middle, just plug in things that will eventually lead up to the ending that you want. After I wrote all of my ideas down in the Google document, it was super messy, right? But I sort of organized it by reading through it a lot, because I had all of these different ideas and plots that I wanted for my story, but it was all over the place. There wasn't any particular order for it, so I had to read through it a lot, copy paste sections to different areas to organize what I wanted to happen first and then next, and then so on and so on. So yeah, it took a lot of time, years, for me to organize it. I think for my webtoon, it's excessively large and heavy compared to others, so that's probably why it took me so long. I think most webtoons probably don't take like 2 years to make, plus, 2 years plus. But that was my situation because my webtoon is a lot. It's probably 100 plus episodes, which I probably should have done something lighter for my first webtoon, but I just really wanted to. So my Google Doc ended up being over 100 pages long, and I even had it at 7-point font, which is incredibly small, by the way. So I always had to zoom in on the Google Doc so I can see the words better. And eventually it started to become a real struggle for me to read through the Google document and like edit it that way, because it was just so much scrolling, and then I'd forget, oh wait, when did this part happen, So I printed it out back to back. The font was very small. I didn't want to use a lot of paper, but yeah, so I did that, and I decided to edit it by hand. So I would make revisions by hand. So I would read through it because it's much easier to physically like go through the papers and actually read it compared to online, in my opinion. So that's what I did. It made it a lot easier for me. I don't know how authors do it, but yeah, that's amazing. But so using those papers, I was also able to share it with my two of my younger sisters. I babbled their ears off at night, every night, about my webtoon, and I would like ask for feedback, tell them, okay, so should I do this or should I do this? Should this go this way or should she do this instead? And they gave me a lot of helpful feedback, and since they're younger than me, they have more creativity and more ideas, I feel like. So that was very helpful for me. And doing that also helped me to feel more confident in what I was writing, and I highly recommend that you guys tell someone your story, read it to them out loud, the script, and it can really help you out a lot. So after I read that out loud to them and I did some editing on my own, I went back to my Google document and made all the changes to the Google document, and that took a really, really long time. After I did that, I decided to start drawing my webtoon. So that's what I did. I think it was about a year later when I decided that I wasn't happy with my script and my drawing, because at that time I had just kind of started digital art, so I was pretty new. I was lacking a lot in terms of art skills, so I was really unhappy with it, and I decided to take a hiatus so that I could revise my webtoon further and also to redraw the old episodes because my art style had improved since when I first started. So that's what I did. I took a hiatus. Don't be afraid to take time off for yourself to figure things out and to fix things, because it's very important that you're happy with your work. Now I'm actually pretty content with my webtoon script, but there are times where I'll randomly get some creativity or some ideas, and I'll write them down and then later go to my script and kind of incorporate those ideas into my webtoon, or change some things or take out some things that I think should be taken out, and many other little things that I could change about it. So that's what I do a lot. I don't have like a schedule where I go work on my webtoon script. I do have a schedule for my drawing. I usually reserve Saturdays and Sundays for working on my webtoon. I like to get 12 panels done each week, but it does depend because I do have a life outside of being a webtoon creator. I have friends and family and college. I'm a full-time college student, so I do try really hard to work on my webtoon when I can, but sometimes it can be hard. For my writing, I usually don't dedicate specific amount of time to writing, but every time after I finish an episode, I will work on my script a little bit. So I just finished episode 10 like a month ago. So when I finished episode 10, I was going to start working on episode 11. And what I did was I went to my script and I read through episode 11, and I would make little adjustments, little revisions to parts that I think might be better if I changed it. And that's what I always do. And I also look at the episodes ahead of it, like I'm working on episode 11, but I might look at episode 12, 13, 14, and 15 as well, because each event and each episode will lead up to the next episode, if that makes sense. So it's important to always look at multiple episodes at a time so that you can make sure that it flows smoothly, the information is all there, the information's accurate, no plot holes and a bunch of other complicated writing things. So yeah, that's what I do a lot. So every time I finish an episode, I will always look at a couple of episodes and edit it. And once every few months, I will feel the urge and need to go to my script and read through it to make sure I'm satisfied with it. So I do that once in a while, but overall I don't really work on it constantly, but I do go back and look at it often. Again, it's different for everyone. I think some people will write their script as they go and they just kind of decide along the way, which is amazing if you can do that, because I think that is truly wonderful. That's amazing. And then there are people who write the whole script before they draw it all out, and so I think it just really depends on what is most comfortable for you and what you prefer to do most. I do both. I wrote everything first and I kind of edit it as I go, so I think that's what works best for me. Alright, so that is all I have for you guys this week. If you guys enjoyed this week's video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next week.